What do you think about using a paddle on children, sir?
My response is, in my years in education, 35 plus years, the people that were most effective disciplinarians use very little corporal punishment.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that affects a child?
Adversely.
Yeah.
It affects them adversely.
Yeah.
Corporal punishment does. It's abusive in many cases, and it's inappropriate.
Is there any appropriate time? I mean,
well, I can't think of any appropriate way to use the people that I was acquainted with, the best disciplinarians, didn't use corporal punishment if very little, if any.
What did they use?
They used their tongue, they used their demeanor and their personality. They were in charge kind of people. Mm-hmm. And the children knew they were in charge when they arrived in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Without using corporal punishment.
They knew the teacher was in charge.
Right. Let me ask you, if you were governor, would you ban it? Would you replace it with talking instead of hitting?
Hey.
If you had the power, would you say, hey, let's use talking, demeanor, and personality?
I favor that over the paddle.
Yeah.
Corporal punishment. Yeah.
Wow. How old are you, sir? If you don't mind my asking.
86.
Oh, wow. You're 86. So you're the older and wiser among us, huh? Yeah.
86, my birthday.
When's your birthday?
May 27th.
All right.
Born in 1925.
You do not look like somebody that's going to be 90 in just 4 years. God bless you.
90, yeah, that's right. 90 in 4 years.
In just 4 years. You look awesome. Probably you have a good heart. You're a kind person.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And so I really appreciate you saying that. And here we are in Mississippi, and we're still using this. This is a slave relic, and they're still using it in the classroom.
But I'm not an advocate of this corporal punishment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really appreciate you saying that.
Well, thank you.
All right. What is your name again?
Floyd Williams.
All right. Floyd Williams. Nice meeting you, sir.
Nice
Let me
meeting
shake
you.
hands with you.
Good luck. Good luck to y'all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Great. So, have you ever had any experience with corporal punishment, or do you have any stories related to corporal punishment from living in Mississippi?
Yes, I do. When I was in the 5th grade, I was attending South Park. Mm-hmm. I had a teacher who tried to spank me, and it didn't go so well.
What happened?
She went to reach back. She reached back. I moved, and she hit the building, and she broke her arm, and she tried to sue my mom for her getting hurt.
Are you serious? So she tried to take a wooden board and strike your body with it.
Yes.
To punish you for something that a child probably does, because children do things.
In class.
You were acting up in class, which is a normal thing that children do, and they have to be trained. That's why we train children, and we could do it without any violence. And she went to hit you, and she broke her wrist.
Yes.
And then she tried to sue you, but you wouldn't have been able to sue if she would have broken something or caused some hematoma or bruises on your body. Would you have been able to sue her for that?
No.
No, but she wanted to sue your mom. Now, did that go well with your mom? Did your mom get sued?
My mom didn't know.
So,
she did not. She told them that she did not give them permission to spank me and for them not to touch me again.
Well, what was she doing trying to hit you if she didn't even have permission? She was just outside of the whole law.
It was a thing that they do in school.
Just ignore your mom's note that your mom says don't hit you. She tried to anyway, and then she broke her wrist.
Yes.
Well, sounds like, sometimes that happens, huh, when you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, huh?
Yes.
So did she come to school with a cast on her wrist?
Yes, she did.
And so how long did she have that on? About a month or so?
Yes.
And you got to see that, and you didn't end up with a bruised body, a violated body.
No.
Very good. Well, congratulations on getting out of that. I'm sorry your teacher got hurt, but maybe that taught her to stop hitting kids. I hope it did.
I hope it did too.
Well, I'm glad you protected yourself. Right on.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Have a good evening now.
You too.
Thank you. So, Nia, we're sending this message out to Mark Echo for the work he's doing to protect school children. What would you like to say to Mr. Echo?
Hi, Mark Echo. Thanks so much for being in support of what we're doing. We got your back. We're out here spreading the word about what you're doing with Unlimited Justice, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's my daughter, Mark. And this is John. And yeah, you want to tell Mark Echo anything, John?
Yeah. Thank you again for all the work that you're doing. Hopefully you can make it out here and come check out Hawaii.
Yeah.
You can also see the kind of work we're doing on this side, and we'll work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Thanks a lot. All right, young lady, what about you? Do you have anything to say to Mr. Echo?
Yeah, definitely. You're supporting a great cause. Keep it up. Give them all the help they need, and the hitting stops here.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. This is SL.
Hey!
Hey, Mark, this is for you! Bye, Mark!
Especially they know Mark Echo, so you already know they already been to his website and seen.
So what you got to say, my friend?
I believe this is just crazy as far as it being the 21st century and the mentality of the people of today is still back in the 19th century. Like,
Yeah.
it's sad that we're beating our kids to make them become something you want them to become.
Exactly. And what do you think about the fact that President Barack Obama knows this is going on? You want to tell him anything?
Open your eyes, man. You need to start looking at your own country, man. You gotta, fight for the youth of our country, especially because they're going to be the ones that's running the country. If you're not protecting them, then who is going to protect them?
That's right.
So.
Well, thanks a lot. Let's see that icon you got on your shirt there. Who you representing? All right, Mark Echo. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Have a good night now.
That the Klan used it against the young people.
Yeah, because they
But
had
frequently. I mean,
they had other stuff they would do. You stand in the corner, and then you could stand on one foot and hold these books out in your hand.
holding books on your hands on one foot. Wow. What do you have to say to Montel Williams?
I like to say, Montel, please help us raise awareness on this. You being a popular black brother yourself, and I know you feel and understand where we're coming from with this. So would you please help us raise awareness against this, and especially here in our state. We need your voice, especially here in Mississippi. We need you.
All right. Thank you very much for your interview, sir. Have a good day.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
I want to be heard.
Uh-huh.
I wanted the hitting to stop. I really do.
All right. Tell
And it
Mr.
needs to
Thompson.
stop.
Tell Mr. Thompson by when.
Mr. Thompson, if you're willing and if you're listening, I want the hitting to stop today. And meaning not tomorrow, not yesterday, but today. I need to stop at this minute, right now.
That's right. And what do you expect from him as a Homeland Security leader? What would you?
I'm
you
expecting
feel
for
that
him
he
to do
has?
it. I'm expecting. He has the power, and I know you can, and I believe he will, and I know you will. I know he will.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I just want to thank you for joining me here on Olelo TV. And again, this is American Safe Pass. Many of you may not know what Safe Pass stands for. It actually stands for Student Alliance for Education in Peaceful American Schools. And it is chaired by Justin Sampson. He's the Assistant Executive Director of the Hitting Stops here. Justin is a college student. Also, I have a special guest, Robert Straley. Are you there, Robert?
I am, Paula.
Oh, great, great. Robert, tell us a little bit about the White House, what that is, the name of the school, and some of your experiences there, please.
Well, the school is now known as the North Florida Youth Development Center. Before that, it was the Dozier School for boys. Before that, it was the Florida School for boys. And before that, it was the Florida Industrial School for boys. It was opened in 1900. It's 110 years old. And when you go back to the newspaper archives that start in 1903 when they visited the school and found the children in irons, step chains, welded step chains, worked in the fields with the men and expected to do a man's job. And if they didn't, they were thrown to the ground and beaten brutally with a leather whip. This was flogging.
Yes.
This was banned by Governor Hardy in 1922 when they whipped Martin Tabbert to death, a young man, which created a great stir in Florida. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, who won the President's Medal of Honor, she was what they called the monarch of the Everglades. She wrote the book A River of Grass, and she wrote a ballad about Martin Tabbert and his cruel death, and caused Governor Hardy to ban corporal punishment for all adult prisoners, all this flogging. And but they didn't ban it for children. It was actually allowed, and it went on at this Florida School for Boys that I was in 1963. It went on for 45 more years before they stopped it in 1968. They carried out these beatings in a small white building that they called the White House, where you could get very few people got less than 20 to 25 lashes. A very lot was in the 50 to 60 to 70 lashes. If you ran, you got 100, and that's probably 30 to 40 minutes of continuous beating. These were lashes were delivered by a full-grown man over his head as hard as he could swing, would push you down into the bed springs of an army cot a foot. They were very brutal, and you would come out of there black and blue and bleeding, and if you got one of those terrible beatings, your skin would split, and it was very bad. What we talked about this during your last radio interview, and what I'd like to talk about is what that does, what punishment like that does to a person.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I noticed in my case, it undermines courage and confidence, and it causes a feeling of cowardice. You know, you were small. I was 13, weighed 100 pounds. You know, I cried, I screamed, begged for mercy, and I felt like a coward afterwards in my life. And that sent me into a spiral of doing a lot of foolish things, life-threatening things like swimming out a mile into the ocean by myself, or cliff diving, and motorcycle racing, and just a lot of things. Even playing Russian roulette, with a loaded gun. And it teaches that violence and intimidation is a way to power and control, and I used that in my life. It turns children into bullies later on. That came out in my life when I became involved in the arena of selling merchandise at festivals. We would have bootleggers. These were people that came in with the same merchandise you were selling, and they had paid nobody for the privilege of doing that, and so they would come in and try to outsell you and pay nobody, and we had to get rid of these people. And we did it back in the 60s and early 70s by just going out and having fist fights with them, and some of those went way over the line, when I think about it. And it just kills spontaneity, and it diminishes the ability to love, and destroys relationships. It does so many things. And I have several letters that I was going through yesterday from daughters mostly that had written about their dads and why they had beaten them and treated them so cruelly, or why they didn't seem to have the ability to show any love. And when they read about this and called their father in to look at this on the TV, their fathers just started crying, and it was such a horrible thing done to children at a young age that 90% of the men that were involved in this, and 300 men came out, 90% of them never told a soul, as I did.
Wow, you mean their entire life they went through keeping this as a secret?
Yes, and that's what was so strange about it when Roger Kaiser and I first got together, and we wondered, could this possibly still be going on, because we hadn't heard anything about a scandal at a boys' school and torture and this, that, and the other. And that's what led us to write a letter to the media to try to get some media attention, and we did finally through Michael O. McCarthy. We found him. He was a journalist and activist, and actually had been a boy at Mariana, unbelievably, and received one of those 100-lash beatings. And he got the story to Carol Marvin Miller, and they actually opened up the school for boys and held a ceremony there, and put a plaque on the wall and said that, we acknowledge these sufferings of these boys, and this will never happen again, and so forth and so on, and planted a tree. And I guess they thought that would be it. But Carol Marvin Miller was there with her camera crew. They did an article, and unbeknownst to anybody, Brendan Farrington of the Associated Press was there. And the next day it went nationwide. And they immediately, the next day, they said in a statement to the press that it was neither an apology nor an admission. And then we did a press conference, a series of, and on the last one we got the governor to ask for it to be investigated by the FDLE, which was a mistake that should have been investigated by the Justice Department or the FBI, because the FDLE is the investigative arm of Florida and is not going to find Florida guilty of anything. They basically whitewashed this as much as they possibly could to sweep it under the rug.
Right.
And that's where it's at the moment.
I see. Oh. Well, it can't stay there, that's for sure.
We just met with the Southern Poverty Law Center group, and we're going to take a step beyond Mariana and try to help end paddling in schools, which we know is a bad thing. I've seen pictures on Jordan Wright's site at nospank.net that just turned my stomach, and were actually equivalent to maybe 15 lashes from one of these brutal men, and that's way too much for a school child.
Absolutely. And the children who were subjected to this at the White House, tell us their ages.
The youngest were probably 8. You had a lot of 7, 8, 8 to 10. Average age, you had a lot of the kids that were 9 to say 13. And then you had the bigger boys' cottage, which was mostly 15 and 16-year-olds. But they actually beat the smaller kids more somebody did a survey on that. You can find it in the archives on WhiteHouseBoys.com. And most of the beatings were aimed at the smaller children. The reason were that there was a lot of those 14, 15-year-old boys that were practically grown men.
Right, absolutely.
And they feared reprisal, you know, so
Right.
they didn't beat them as much.
I see. They were afraid of these children bullying them back, it sounds like. You know, they knew that the big ones, they may not be able to overcome them. And so what sad behavior to target at 7, 8, 9-year-old children by grown men?
It was horrible. I got a letter from Monica Adams, and her husband on his deathbed gave her this letter and said, I want the world to know about this. And he was 8, and they tied him to a bed and gave him 81 lashes. And that's enough to kill a child at that age. I don't know how he made it.
Yes, absolutely.
I really don't.
Absolutely. Wow. Well,
And a lot of the little boys would get 25 to sometimes up to 50 lashes, and that's way too many.
yeah.
It just traumatized them for life.
Yes. Well, you know, Robert, let me ask you, February is Black History Month, and we are doing a series of Black history and modern-day Black America topics. And just to tie this in with Black American history, what was the percentage of the racial breakdown? Was it primarily Black? Was it primarily white, mixed, half-half? What was the logistics there?
Pretty much. I believe there was more white boys. It was segregated at that time. They had what they had called a white, and they called it a colored side, and it was separated by a road. The buildings that housed the Black boys were far inferior to what housed us. We were in brick dormitories. They were in wooden buildings. They were assigned a lot tougher work jobs, you know, herding the cattle and slaughterhouse and a lot of clearing land and that sort of thing. And we heard some pretty bad stories about them getting, you know, beatings way over the top from what we did. And I believe it at the time because that was a very racially charged and bigoted town.
I see.
You know, very much Ku Klux Klan, and I heard quite a few stories of Black boys that were just killed and thrown in the Chipola River.
Oh my God.
And because of that, if we didn't do what we're doing today to make these changes happen, we also see the vision that how we can, everything can collapse on us. Obviously, if we didn't see that, we wouldn't be sitting here. But it's also now about how far and how deep are we really going to press in, and how much energy and how much pressure we're really going to press into it to make these things happen. Because really, to tell you the truth, they're coming towards us, and we're going towards them, so how much pressure we're going to put in that direction.